internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winfred Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
25 teams, one dream. The first ever Popeyes Challenge Cup competition, this David versus Goliath tournament. The Popeyes Challenge Cup, Wednesday, May 13 at Draxhall Sports Complex. Gray's Inn versus Duncan's United at 4:30 p.m. followed by Limehall versus Wi-Fi United at 7:45 p.m. It's the Popeyes Challenge Cup, Wednesday, May 13 at Draxhall Sports Complex, live on CVM. Three giants of the Premier League. Reigning champions Manchester City. Brilliant. Title challengers Arsenal. And perennial giants Chelsea. Your favorite Premier League teams right here on CVM TV. Missed an Arsenal match? Watch the rebroadcast on Arsenal TV. More of a Manchester City fan? No problem. Don't miss a beat with City TV. Supporter of Chelsea? Catch all things from the Blues on Chelsea TV. See it happen right here on CVM TV every Monday at 8 p.m.
Thanks for joining us for CVM News at Noon. It's Tuesday, May 12, 2026. I'm Akeem Arret. Up first this afternoon, veteran broadcaster Faye Ellington is calling out the growing trend of using Jamaican folk songs to create explicit and sexually suggestive content online. And now viral rhythm by Stephen the Genius McGregor, remaking the hilly and gully beat and sampling this song is generating mixed reactions among some quarters. Many see the use of the folk beat as an ode to Jamaican culture, but Miss Ellington says the use of lewd lyrics on such a beat is disrespectful to the country's cultural heritage and could negatively influence young people who grew learning the traditional songs.
Folk music is a very important part of our heritage. It's not just for entertainment, you know. If you listen to the words of our folk songs, you'll see that they're telling a story. So when I hear persons changing the lyrics of Hill and Gully Ride to vulgarity, it pains. It hits me in a place that I cannot explain. I get numb.
A truck carrying the musical band at a funeral in Thompsontown, Clarendon, overturned on Monday, leaving several people seriously injured. The truck fell from Victoria Road to the bottom of the Smithville Road. Councillor for the Thompsontown Division, Colin Henry, is warning motorists to take the necessary precautions while traversing the area. U.S. President Donald Trump has nominated former Arizona gubernatorial candidate and media personality Kari Lake to serve as the next United States ambassador to Jamaica. The nomination signals Trump's continued confidence in Lake, one of his most outspoken political allies and supporters. Lake, a former television news anchor, rose to national prominence during her run for governor of Arizona and has remained a strong voice within Trump's political movement. Residents living in Woodsville district and adjoining communities in eastern Hanover joined forces on Sunday carrying out repairs on a makeshift wooden bridge which they had constructed at a section of the area since 2023. The residents told our newsroom that the original bridge was severely damaged during bad weather conditions in 2022, and following another series of heavy rainfall in 2023, the bridge gave way and totally collapsed. They said community persons were left marooned and some residents, students, teachers, hospitality workers and taxi operators were forced to travel miles on other alternative routes to reach their destination. The disgruntled residents are reporting that the government has still not responded to their cries and has made no attempts to assist them in replacing their bridge.
Citizens are trying to fix the bridge that has been down from 2023, and there are many students that are affected by this bridge because they have to travel to school in Sav, and teachers have to travel to Sav and different places to go to work, and we're having a major problem because the bridge is down. The boards on the bridge is falling apart and the persons are driving on it, and it's only a matter of time that it's going to come down, probably when somebody is on it.
Government Senator Shireen Golden Campbell is defending the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority NARA legislation following its passage in the Senate last Friday. The senator says the legislation is needed to fast-track recovery and reconstruction projects following the devastation caused by Hurricane Melissa.
It is really about pushing through and fast-tracking normal processes that have traditionally and typically taken an extremely long time. The truth is that we have a broken public service system, a broken system of delivering services to the public. And we really do need to look at that system and urgently reform it, but it's going to take time because it is a complex structure.
Meanwhile, Chief Executive Officer of the Jamaica Environment Trust, JET, Dr. Teresa Rodriguez Moody, is warning that communities impacted by Hurricane Melissa must not be left out of the reconstruction process under the new NARA legislation. Dr. Moody says while there is a need for urgent recovery, decisions about major development projects should not happen without public consultation and environmental protections.
You cannot forget the very lives that have been impacted, and they must be a very important part of the decision-making process. Their voices must be heard. What we do not need are announcements of grandness when people are still struggling to build back.
In the meantime, Jamaicans for Justice JFJ is warning that the new NARA legislation could leave too much power in the hands of the executive without enough independent oversight. Executive Director Michael Jackson says while the country needs quick action to rebuild after Hurricane Melissa, there must also be clear safeguards to protect public trust and accountability.
I think it's important that the public understands that NARA is not by itself just operating without any oversight at all. The challenge is where the oversight is coming from. Now, if people understand governance and branches of government, the concern that we have is too much of an executive influence by the way of cabinet.
Voting is now underway in the 2026 elections in neighboring Bahamas, with officials reporting an incident-free start to polling day across the islands. Scores of Bahamians have been turning out since early morning to cast their ballots, as security personnel and election workers maintain order at polling stations. Our reporter Amoy Harriet is on the ground.
Have officially opened and have been since around 8 o'clock this morning in the 2026 elections here in the Bahamas. Now, I visited a few polling stations since morning, and the atmosphere here on the ground has been relatively calm, relatively quiet. The most common response or comment I've been getting from persons who've been coming to these polling stations to cast their vote is that this time around, this year, the voting process has actually been a lot smoother than in previous elections.
It was smooth, it was cordial, and it was efficient and quick. Process was good, smooth, and no problem. In and out, like she said. The process was really improved this year.
It was quite easy. We were able to walk right on, basically walk right out. It's pretty smooth today. No line, no hiccups, no nothing. That's pretty smooth.
So the polls are closing today at 6 o'clock, and I'll be visiting a few other constituencies throughout the course of the day to find out what's happening on the ground, especially considering that biometric cards, like I've told you in previous reports, is being introduced for the first time in the country. And of course, after the closing of the polls, I'll still be on the ground to find out which party will be forming the next government. And I'll have that update for you a little later on during the day. Reporting for CVM News, I'm Amoy Harriet here on the ground in Nassau, Bahamas.
Thank you so much, Amoy. We take a break, but stay with us. More when we come back.
If you have financial needs, Chris and Charles will fix them for you. Power in great moments since 1992. Oh, we have it all. Power in great moments. Relax, you got Chris and Charles. Oh, we have it all. When you think alone, think Chris and Charles.
25 teams, one dream. The first ever Popeyes Challenge Cup competition, this David versus Goliath tournament. The Popeyes Challenge Cup, Wednesday, May 13 at Draxhall Sports Complex. Gray's Inn versus Duncan's United at 4:30 p.m., followed by Limehall versus Wi-Fi United at 7:45 p.m. It's the Popeyes Challenge Cup, Wednesday, May 13 at Draxhall Sports Complex, live on CVM.
Hi, I am Candy Pang.
Watagwan.
Watagwan.
Datagwan.
Watagwan.
Watagwan. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 a.m., 1:30 p.m., and 10 p.m. on CVM TV.
Datagwan pa Watagwan.
Welcome back to CVM News at Noon. The competition between traditional hotels and Airbnb enters around several key factors that hoteliers are closely monitoring. This is so as hoteliers increasingly see short-term rentals as a formidable threat to occupancy rates, pricing power, and their traditional market share. Joining us now via phone to discuss is the president of the Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association, Christopher Jarrett. Good afternoon, Mr. Jarrett.
Good afternoon.
With this being an ongoing issue between hoteliers and Airbnb operators, what would you say are some of the pressing concerns that the industry are arguing?
Well, first of all, we don't consider the competition as unhealthy. We think competition is always good. It forces each player to improve their product and to ensure that the quality of the product is presented as it should be to the guests, so that experience is seamless. The concern that we have is the safety of the product. For instance, the meeting requirements that the hotels would normally be required to meet, like fire extinguishers, safety equipment, hoses, fire hoses, and so on, in situations where the property may not have those things in place. And to look at all the things like health concerns that the Ministry of Health would require hotels to meet, and so on. So these are issues that we just want to ensure that we, the JHCA, want to ensure that the playing field is level. That's always been our argument. We have no fight with Airbnb per se, or short-term rentals.
But recently, Mr. Jarrett, the government has passed a legislation to impose a 15% general consumption tax on short-term rentals effective April 1, 2027. Would this step bring forth a sort of balance between hotels and short-term rentals, such as Airbnb?
That's just one of the requirements that we thought were created the imbalance that I just spoke to. The Airbnb space. When I say Airbnb, we're talking short-term rentals. They avoid all the taxes that the hotels pay, and so they have this uneven advantage. And we just want to make sure that it's level, but more importantly, I think it's about the guest experience. So if it is that they are not doing the things that the hotels are required to do to make sure that the experience for the guests is safe and seamless, then it's going to may eventually affect the product, and by extension, product Jamaica and brand Jamaica.
But Airbnbs are said to be creating a tight competition in terms of prices during the peak seasons for the industry. How so?
Sorry, repeat that.
So Airbnbs, they are said to be creating tight competition in terms of prices during peak seasons for the industry. How so?
Well, because some people want that experience of their own kitchen and their own space and no housekeeper to disturb you and so on. They may choose Airbnb, and again, we see the competition as healthy as long as the playing field is level. So if they're required to meet the same strictures as we in the hotel sector are required to comply with, then it's fine. But all of these strictures and conditions accompany costs. To get your place with a fire equipment, safety equipment, fire hoses, alarm systems, and other health requirements from Ministry of Health side, and compliances from company's office, and all these other things. Drive the cost of business, and of course you would well understand that and appreciate that cost has to be either absorbed by the owner or the manager of the property, or you eventually will pass it on to the consumer. And I think Airbnb has that advantage of being able to absorb it because they don't have that outlay.
With most Airbnbs being equipped with home-like amenities such as kitchens, in-unit laundry and larger living spaces, have you observed a shift in guests' expectations to also be offered similar amenities within hotel spaces?
We've noticed that shift for a few years now. It's becoming more prevalent now that people are choosing Airbnbs more so than in the past over hotel stays. I think the convenience of it, not just the kitchen and that kind of offering, but the ability to come and go at will in a more convenient fashion, and being able to allow guests into your space seamlessly without any objection from the hotelier. But again, that speaks as a measure of safety and a level of safety that we as hoteliers have to ensure happens, because we have several guests that we have to ensure have this protection, if you will,
so quickly,
from potential harm. When somebody comes into our property, we have to make sure that the access is limited. For instance, the visitor has to be registered at the front desk before they go onto the guest room, and so on. Certain security procedures and protocols are in place that have to be observed, and that doesn't happen in the Airbnb space.
So quickly, before we go, Mr. Jarrett, in addition to the announced GCT on these short-term rentals, is there anything else you would believe the government can do to level the playing field with traditional hotels?
Yes, we also in the hotel industry pay a room tax, It varies depending on the amount of rooms that the hotel carries. So in the case of a small hotel, the rate may be $1 or $2 per room for each room that is occupied by the guest. So we think that this should be no different for Airbnb, notwithstanding the GPT. This would bring some tremendous income to the government coffers.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jarrett, for your time. That was Mr. Christopher Jarrett, president of the Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association. To international news now. Across Lebanon, survival is becoming more difficult with each passing day as Israeli strikes continue. But in a southern town, a local initiative is showing that